Hello, welcome to the Aftershow for, what is this, like episode 6? Episode 6?
Yeah, getting up.
I think so.
Shadowrun.
There,
It's the third one for me, but yeah.
getting up there now.
How do you think that went?
Honestly, all of our runs have gone really well. I felt
It
like
went-
all have been professional at least.
The run
I
itself
think
was
the
great.
run itself went well, but Jade definitely had a rough time. But I knew that that's going to happen. I kept saying like something bad's going to happen because I was rolling so well for so long. I was like, RNG is going to catch up with me.
Yeah. And then,
Yeah, it's one
unfortunately,
of
some bad tests.
Where I think our runs have gone as well as they can go in Shadowrun. Like, we are a professional team. We're actually pretty well balanced for espionage. As we saw today, everybody actually had something to contribute when it came to spying and trying to see what was going on with the crate. Every single character had something they brought to the table that changed the angle a little bit. Like, I could do the magical scouting. Bentham does physical scouting. You had Shen finally had an opportunity to use his drones. You had Maggie helping out with grid overwatch and stuff like that and kind of just pointing things out and parsing through images and data. Like, everything came together really well. And if you compare that to the team in the first season of Shadowrun, I don't know what our team would have done on this run. And like, because they were just all shooty. They were all like, half the party was just gung-ho kill them all. And then the other half of the party was kind of just like, what would we do there? Like, would we have just, like, nobody knew how to stealth? I guess Pseudo was okay at it. Like, that would have been a...
Yeah. I think in your first season, it would have been like... The way that you guys would have played it is very different. Like, right? Even if it is a stealth mission, you might just be, like, guns blazing anyway. It's like when you're playing... oh my gosh, I'm, like, thinking Solid Snake. Like, that game,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if you're doing that, sometimes you just go in and shoot everything, even though it's supposed to be a spy mission, you know? Whatever.
Yeah.
As long as you get what you
I
came,
wouldn't
what
have
you came
thrown
there
this
for, right?
mission to the old team because the old team probably wouldn't be able to handle it. The old team is just like, kill stuff. That is your mission. Excellent. You can do that.
We were pretty good at body snatching, too, weirdly enough. We were pretty good at snatching. Yeah, just stealing motherfuckers off boats. We were pretty good at that. But this team is really coming together. If we ever get into, like, hardcore combat, I know we're fucked. Like, if we ever get into hardcore combat, we have no fightiness left in us. Like, Tag can put down okay damage, but he risks knocking himself out every single turn. I can shoot a shotgun and lay people out because I got 6 points in that, but my agility is only 3, so I'm limited pretty heavily on how much damage I can deal in a
You
turn.
got Smart Link?
Yeah.
So 10 dice. It's okay.
Yeah, but my limit is the problem there. My physical limit is awful, and so I
It's
like
not
have
physical
trouble
limit, it's
hitting.
based on the accuracy of the gun.
Oh. Yeah. Well, that changes things a little bit. 10 dice isn't
You
bad.
can also start, like, I think early game is nice to have, like, that foundation, and then you can kind of add on and, like, kind of multi.
Yeah. I mean, I would
Start
recommend
against,
that
like-
people put a bit of karma into their combat skills now, if they're lacking
Yeah.
them, just so you have that backup.
Yeah, what did we get for karma for today? What was that looking like?
Karma for today, you did well. You gelled really well as a team. You pulled it off. You tried to save all the civilians on the plane that you could. And you did your very best on that one, and actually managed to save the Johnson. Apparently. So you can all have 3 karma for the run, 1 karma because it went so well and you tried to save people, and a bonus karma for actually managing to save the Johnson, which, quite frankly, I did not expect. I put his chance of survival at around 5 to 10%. But yeah, that was pretty well done. So 5 karma each.
Cool. I'm thinking I'm going to save my karma until I get to 20. I've got 17 right now. If I can get to 20 after the next run, I can boost my... right now, my sensing is not so great for a mage because I had to dump something. After magic was maxed, willpower was maxed, charisma was maxed, I didn't have a whole lot left to play around with, and so logic could be a little higher. I think I'm going to go to logic 4. I'm going to jump in with the logic 4 so that it affects a couple of skills for me as a mage that I think are important.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, what kind of combat stuff I can get, because right now that's where I'm lacking a lot, and I feel like if I do get in a situation that's like that, it's going to be intense, and especially since I need to get closer, either that or something where I can disguise or kind of deception my way through stuff. I don't know. It's going to be intense. I'm just like, oh.
My initial intent was to raise my magic to 7, but with the way immersion or whatever the hell the way it works, it's just too expensive. It's like if you you have to have like 10 or 15 karma just to do the process, and then you still have to. You don't get the 7th point of magic for free. You still have to pay the karma cost for the 7th point of magic. So it comes out being like 30 karma to raise a stat by 1, and it's just like, oh my god, are you kidding me?
No, and that's what I was talking to EE about. I was like, so how much is it? It's 5 times the number that you want. So it's like,
oh, it's even higher than that. It's
if I want to up my logic, it's 60 karma. I'm like, or 35 karma. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. I'm just like, that's insane.
Yeah.
You could get there by like, if you convert your money to karma after every run. You know, if you're making enough, you can convert like 4,000, 5,000 bucks to 2 or 3 karma, and that adds up over time. But even so, dumping karma.
I only allow 1 karma to 2,000 or 2,001 karma each run, but you could do it each time. So yeah. But that tends to help.
That's so much money. Damn.
It's the official rate for Shadowrun missions, which is a pretty good rule that I think everyone should implement.
Speaking of, did the Cred 6 survive the crash?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I have them on my first.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I actually handed them all out to you, so you guys would already have the money.
Yeah, I was
Well, I
like,
was in
I
the back.
that shit right away. Get that in the account.
Oh, well then I assume that I have yours, and I just won't tell you. And you'll never know because I've got charisma for days. I'd be like, no, the Johnson said that you were too stinky. You didn't get paid today. And you'd be like, oh,
Why would you? Because you could just be like, oh, I lost it in the crash. It's at the bottom of the sea. Oh, what a shame.
I felt like you were really upset about being stinky.
Though, the bottle exploding thing. I mean, obviously, we're all suspicious of the bottle because you made us super suspicious right off the bat.
Oh yeah.
I was still thinking it was like he's
taking
taking
out of it and everything.
I was thinking he was still going to poison people with it. Either way, I was actually happy I was in the back. I like how that worked out nicely. That like, oh yeah, I may be infected with some horrible evil disease now, and I smell horribly, and I've been vomiting everywhere, but I didn't get blown up, and everyone else did.
I tried to give you a breath.
So my question is, how would we have avoided the bottle exploding?
Noticed it and stopped it, maybe?
I'll be honest, it wasn't going to be the bottle originally. Originally, it was going to be an explosion that you didn't see, because I can't tell you because that might have given it away. But because Splat pointed out, oh, the bottle, I should perception the bottle, I was like, you know what? I will reward your paranoia. It was the bottle. So I just changed it. Effectively, it would have been the same. You wouldn't have actually been able to stop it because it would have come from outside the craft. This is one of those things where, unfortunately, you're going to be in a position where it's going to be very hard to spot it coming. Which as a GM, you can do, but only if you give people the means to deal with it. Luckily, I knew that the team had a mage with Levitate. I wasn't going to be a dick and be like, yeah, by the way, just jump out of a plane. It's your best choice. Yeah, you don't have parachutes. Yeah, you don't have Levitate. Just die.
I almost went unconscious, though.
Well, the benefit is if you actually hit water with your, like, toes pointed together and you kind of pencil it, you won't take too much damage. So I was like, you know what, you can still have just stun, not physical, which you probably should have been.
I have like 7 health left.
I like that half of our party like just fell out of a plane into the sea and that was it. The parachute did nothing.
No, my favorite part is that there's a freaking whale creature, water creature, fucking like charioting us across the water. That's
something
so
like
sick.
30 to 40 miles an hour. Like the movement power is ridiculous. Like it allows you to like run at 60 something miles an hour. So you
it's hard
glad we
to
have
know,
a mage.
and it's going.
It's really hard as a mage to know what your spirits can do because every type of spirit does different stuff at different levels of like professionality. Like a level 6 spirit is basically like a sentient thing that thinks for itself, is a badass, is probably smarter than you, is probably thinking of a way to double cross you, but he's also got super awesome powers that he has to use for X amount of time until you run out of services. The lower level ones, that's why I went for a level 3, is because I didn't want it to be too smart. A level 3 spirit, a little dumber.
Spare app.
Oh yeah, that's the one thing. I wish there was a better space for spirits. I mean, there's a note part, but like I have to retype like entire like pages of the player guide for each
paste it into
spirit.
there, but I don't know. The sheets are like hard to work with.
They're
I
a
was
lot
saying
better
this
than any of
too,
the
like
sheets
the
we've
Matrix.
used before. I'm going to put it that way.
Yeah.
The previous Shadowrun sheet was a little bit more of a nightmare. It's from a Shadowrun, so much stuff.
I think my part is the Matrix sheet. I wish the description actually like let you open it so you could read more. It's kind of weird.
See, and there's like a little button here to summon the spirit that I didn't use. I use the summoning skill from this front part. They should put the extra button next to the summoning thing on the skills page, where it just says like spirit above it or something like that, or just make it so that that button rolls that right there instead of what it did previously. There's a few little things in here that I think could be cleaned up and streamlined a little bit with the character sheet.
They're
But
being
so
worked
far,
on.
yeah, it is. It's like it's changing every week, and so it's still like the best character sheet we've ever played with by a long shot. It's a really good character sheet.
I just love the extended test roller, and the fact that if you use if I use my SR dice roller, it will actually tell me if I glitch. I need to try and force a glitch. Come on, force a glitch. I've got 1 in 6 chances of this being a critical glitch. Come on.
Speaking of glitches, oh.
Yeah, you had a glitchy night.
Rough. I had a rough day.
There we go, it
Today
says
was
critical
rough
glitch.
for me.
You had a really glitchy day. Like, you had 2 or 3 that were just, like, at the wrong moment, at the wrong time. And it was all mundane stuff, too, like Googling. You just start Googling something and your head would get half blown off.
But I knew it was going to happen at some point. I got to figure out, like, some good ways to avoid that. I don't know if... I guess it's going to probably take me a little bit more research IRL to figure that out. Or do some decking myself here.
Yeah, I mean, normally critical glitches are stuff that should be somewhat threatening to the person. Like, you know, a gun goes off, it might shoot you in the foot or something. The only reason I would drop, like, a god thing on you is like, it hasn't been done before. It's a good way of letting the viewers know what happens when Matrix stuff goes wrong. And also, you've got a little bit of time between now and the actual run to do some healing, do some repairing deck or whatever. Probably still a little bit overkill. I probably wouldn't do that in future. I forgot how gnarly God is.
The toolkit stuff takes like a lot of time. It's like an hour per point or something of damage.
Yeah. It's pretty
I don't know.
brutal. But,
Sorry, I told the NPC you were pooping.
It's fine. I think it was a good cover-ish.
You go to the bathroom for an hour, though, and it's like, well, what are you supposed to say they're doing in there? Like, the list by an hour in has been severely limited. People are like, well, if it's been 10 minutes, you got a lot of excuses. Like, maybe you just wanted to wash your face or something. But after an hour, it's like, for an hour she's washing her face? I don't think so.
I should have turned the shower on or something.
Yeah.
We could have been like, oh, you know, Candy Crush 10's just come out. You know, it is.
Seriously, though, hide the cred
You go in,
from
you never
her.
come out.
She's always buying lives every other day, just spending all our Candy Crush money, New Yen.
Oh my gosh, I played a Shadowrun series like a while back, and one of our guys was like addicted to the Candy Crush game, and he would just like always play it, and it became a really pretty funny thing. Like, we were in a cab at one point, and he's just like playing it on the cab little, you know, like how sometimes they have a screen where you can play games.
I always wanted to make a remote decker who's never there with the party because he's addicted to MMOs. And so he's always in the MMO world, like playing the game or whatever. But on the corner, like, he's got his UI and everything, so he can still like deck and hack when people need it to make money, so he never has to log out of the game because he's so addicted to it. I always thought that'd be like a cool angle for a character.
I thought about
Maybe that's
doing
Black
that.
Sun.
I thought about doing that as my character, but I feel like a lot of people have done that before. So I was like, I don't want to feel like it's overrated. It's been done a million times. So I kind of took like a different take on her. But yeah, I feel like that's like a perfect way to make a decker, right? It just ties in so well. You're already like super into the Matrix, and then you can get those. You can even make your addiction be pretty strong to it, and then you get all the extra karma points and stuff. It's pretty.
Yeah.
Worth.
And because you like live in the fantasy world and just take like a negative for the noise, like you're still usually in okay shape if you got decent dice.
Yeah, but the problem is like you have to, in the world, I guess you'd have to find some way to like keep yourself protected that way, because otherwise someone could just go in and gank you.
Yeah.
If they find out where you are, so you'd have to like have security measures up the Kazwa. I don't know.
I figure like you'd be in your MMO. And you'd have like 5 windows that are all cameras inside your house that are just like looking around. So you've got that like up in the corner while you're playing the game. At the same time, you've got like the voice feeds and like the audio
seem to be
feeds and the
implying that
video
people
feeds.
play on like 2D like screens. No, you just dive in. You are the MMO.
Yeah, it's like a 3D world.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like the reverse. You're in a 3D MMO, and then 2D screens come up showing what's going on in the real world. The real world's a game.
So,
to them,
what did you get from today's plot?
Not a whole lot, other than apparently everything seems to be leading back to, well, not everything, but this Great Dragon seems like it's going to be a pivotal plot point, and this Orichalcum seems important because everybody seems to want it right now. Aside from that, we know that Met 2000 killed their own people either to erase us or just to cover up that the run was ever even contracted or had. That, or I guess there's the possibility that Charles was going rogue and he was never asked to do that in the first place. He might have gone off the grid, off a reservation, and was just doing that on his own. They found out about it, and that's not okay because they have some pre-existing agreement or something. There's a lot of angles, a lot of things going on.
Yeah, well, and we
Either he
learned
was going.
we learned a lot about that group. So it's FEB, Alchemy or whatever, and then Proteus. Like how they're all going to be, they're all trying to like team up to become their own AAA company, which is really interesting. So there might be some, obviously he was working supposedly for, I don't know, one of them maybe?
Yeah, either he'd gone rogue or he dug too deep and the bosses were like, oh crap, we're going to have to kill him.
But that crate said Proteus AG on it, right? The crate that we found?
The crate didn't say Proteus on it, but the submarine said Proteus on it. And the crate came from a Proteus sub.
Yeah, so there's definitely some interesting tie-ins there.
Yeah, so like either Argus whacked their own guy to cover up that they were doing this, or yeah, so that's either Argus whacked the guy because he did the run and he got it taken care of, and now they don't want any paper trail, and then be like, oh no, that plane crashed. It had to be diverted to some other place, and they just hack and edit a file real fast, saying it was diverted and it crashed over wherever, you know. Like
also, another thing, I might have caused that too because. Remember, I was using their signal to hack in and find out more information about Proteus, and so that might have caused how they got found too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's we don't know motivations right now. We just have strings of information, and they all seem to surround Orichalcum or people who have touched Orichalcum.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the entire plot right now.
I'm curious to see where that GPS takes, like if we can track that GPS to where that van went.
Yeah, I mean,
So where
you'll
that-
find
Yeah, we've
out
still got
next week because it takes you a few hours to get there. It goes into the Allied German states and heads towards the border with France. But you'll find out more about that next week.
Yeah, it's right now we just got bits and pieces. I feel like we've got the puzzle pieces laid out all over the table, and we just got to start finding corners now. Like, I feel like that's the point that we're at, is we need just a little bit more information, or a little bit more motive would help. I think motive is the only thing we're really lacking for a lot of this stuff. Although we do have Project Transference, which is a pretty good motive. If they figured out a way to use Orichalcum to force Awakening, that might be an angle.
Yeah, there's a couple. So there's Project Golden Idol, there's Project Transference, and then there's also Extension Transference. So they've actually done something beyond just that one program, which is going to be interesting. Also, there's still that David Mirage guy that has some kind of thing going on with him. And then Silver King, which we don't know much information about at all.
I say we just knuckle down and work for the Sea Dragon.
I'm not sure if that's possible. We could try.
Yeah, it's also a terrible idea, because you know the first rule of Shadowrun.
Never ever do a deal with a dragon.
How would you even
Then-
contact? Would you just put like a message in a bottle? It's like, well, you own the sea, so I guess if I put this
I
anywhere,
kind of
you'll
wish that
find
was the
it.
thing now.
Message in the bottle, yeah.
It's like
know how
Lockwood.
they
You just hit them up
reply.
on their celly. You should be like, Lockwood, bro, what you up to? Don't be a punk. Let's go hang out at the bar.
I feel like
So
they're not.
for a
They're not.
drink?
I feel like the sea dragon isn't the tech sort.
Not
I
really.
mean, I don't know
Yeah.
about this stuff.
Not really.
I'll summon a water spirit and I'll say, go find the great dragon.
Yeah,
Are they
that'll
being
back to
serious?
us.
Is this your command? Oh God.
Yeah. This is a terrible idea, but
So-
I have to obey.
With my big flowchart of the plot, I've marked the entry points I've given you, or I am giving you, effectively, with like a green marker, and then I've marked the main players with a red marker. So I know where you are entering the flowchart, and then I know when you're hitting the important things, when you find out about them. My idea is effectively you should try and figure out the next nodes around the stuff I'm giving you. And so far you've got a little bit of it.
We need to see this chart at the end.
I'm hoping it'll
definitely wanna
last.
see
I've
the chart.
taken pictures of the chart, so at the end, like, we can just do an after show where I just show you the chart and be like, this is it.
You have to
is what
show the
happened.
progression of it, though.
There have been a few iterations of this chart, mainly so that I could
Oh,
write
yeah.
smaller to fit more stuff on.
Also, because players fuck it up because they go in a weird direction. You're like, well, all of those branches are now dead because they went this
Not
way.
with Shadowrun, because the way I've designed the plot is, this is what they're doing. You can find out about it. It's very hard to... The thing with Shadowrun, it's very hard to, like, change the course of, like, a dragon or a megacorp. You would have to be very pivotal at a very narrow point. Like, one delivery, you could have screwed this delivery up, but they're probably doing many deliveries. To do, like, to screw up their plan, you have to be at the certain place where all the threads cross, because that's when it becomes pivotal about one item. So it becomes very hard to actually screw up an entire plot line. But you can definitely influence it and change things, but only when you get to the certain place where all the threads cross can you actually screw everything up entirely. And that's kind of the aim, I guess, is to influence it where you can.
And there's multiple shipments that have been going on, so it's like, what do they need all of that stuff for? What are they making? And they're like using magical people at the same time. So it's like those things got to tie in together somehow. Which whatever that project transference thing is going on.
And somehow that's going to interact with everybody's backstories too, because that's how you draw the real interest in the players. And is that the things happening that you have no control over have to some way influence the players and like affect their normal day-to-day lives.
Well, I know it kind of touches almost all of you. Well, definitely your character Tag, and for sure Jade. Like, both of our families are kind of like tied into that.
I don't have any idea what Gatto's story is aside from he was a smuggler. Like, I don't have any clue where his stuff's going right now. And then you've been pretty hush-hush about Deadbolt. Like, I think Deadbolt has a thing, he just hasn't talked about it yet. Because he's not that kind of person.
Being revealed, some in character, some out of character.
What do people know about Deadbolt so far?
That you
out
stole
of character,
a thing.
people notice the age references and are like, wait, how old is Deadbolt?
He's been burgling for a while.
Elseman. But you don't have any sort of major backstory like you had with Branda. Like Branda's whole planet getting screwed over. You have no massive
it's not quite on that scale.
Yeah. Yours is much more
There is one
drip
interesting...
feed over your age.
There is one interesting revelation that'll come out, but the weird thing is it's not even sort of tied to everything else as much. It's just a separate thing I came up with that might come up, and if it does, it'll be interesting how it plays out. It's the thing that happens just after the actual major thing.
Now I'm confused.
I'll remind you at the end.
I'll need to write it on a flowchart.
I think I'm at the point where I could probably share my background story, or like the little blurb that I wrote, because I think they found out all of that stuff so far.
Yeah, they pretty much know that stuff, I guess. And it is a well-written little blurb.
Yeah. But there's like a lot of more in-depth stuff that's coming out of that from there. But maybe I'll share that today. Oh, man. Yeah, last week, though, was where all the intense story came from.
Yeah, and it's
crazy info dump.
I was really hoping my mom was in this shipment, but that means she's not. Or maybe she is, because like the last time you were talking about Tag, that like they had a person that was inside of a crate, right?
I mean, this crate was pretty small. If your mum was in there, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Like, it definitely wasn't this. This wasn't my mom. So I'm like, man. So I mean, she's either on one of the other two harbors.
Well, she was certainly like dropped in around this vague area. You kind of narrowed the search location a little bit, so things certainly tied.
Things to learn for next week.
For sure. I got to do some more searching. I just don't want to take up like a whole episode of just searching for stuff.
Cool.
Oh boy.
It's interesting. I'm looking forward to, as you like gather these more ideas and clues and stuff, you start trying to build effectively the flowchart in reverse to what I've built it, and then figuring out where things are crossing and intentions and motives, etc. That said, I always feel that motives is the hardest one to try and figure out to begin with, because there's so many different players and motives that the initial is just to find out what people want, and then go from there. But it'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to next week. You're very competent today.
Has it been like 10? How many years has it been then?
How old's Jade now?
That's what I was wondering. So she's 24. She was 8 when her parents.
16.
So it's been 16 years. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
So 16 years has gone by, and now my mom is being basically like interrogated.
Maybe.
Well, clearly they're like beating her and taking her fingernails and her fingerprints, trying to get some kind of info, and then shipping her around. So I'm like, what did she get herself into? And I'm guessing Eric has the same in a similar boat then.
Well, literally
because they're all
in this
part of
episode.
the program. What?
Kind of literally in
What?
this episode. In the same boat.
Oh no! Don't say that. Wait, are you giving us a hint? Are they all on a boat?
No, you are.
Oh yeah, we're in a boat. We're in a boat.
Well, we
Well,
just
they're all-
arrived on shore now. We're off to get fish and chips.
And the
Off
spirit
to the
looks at you
chippy.
like, no, don't get fish.
Although we landed in Yorkshire, and apparently Yorkshire is like a disaster zone, so this should be fun.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere's a disaster then, let's be honest.
It's just in what way?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
but
But
we're
it's
not
not,
disaster
like
like,
black
this
sludge
one.
again.
effectively, beginning the next session will be you just going, yeah, you make it back home, carting your gear, getting like a pretty long distance Uber or something. It's fine. That'll cost you a few $9 for the taxi ride, but you're good. Time
Well,
passes.
and what the hell do we do with Charlie, or whatever his name, Charles?
That is up to you. He is pretty badly hurt.
Yeah, I was like, do we save Charles or do we save the pilot, the unnamed pilot?
Oh, Pilot died. Pilot
Okay.
died. Pilot
Yeah, he-
tried to have the harness activate, and I rolled 0 die successes, so...
Charlie's gonna be in like a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Well, maybe not. There's a lot of cyber stuff. If he's got money,
Yeah.
he could get some fake legs.
They also have some dope wheelchairs. There was a character in, I think, Shadowrun Dragonfall who was in a wheelchair, but it was like a super pimped out wheelchair. Like it was a crazy badass wheelchair because he couldn't afford the cybernetics, but he could afford an awesome chair.
Yeah, because he had like a hole blown through his like stomach, so he's like, bottom half of him is not doing so hot.
You can move
Yeah.
in with Pink. They can hide from all the corporations together.
Yeah, let's...
Yeah, he probably doesn't want to go back to work at Argus. That's probably not going to work out.
That's a whole nother story, is the nano stuff. Like, oh. And that means there's a bunch of people who are like, they seem normal. It's like that creepy, all of a sudden they all get turned on and then chaos ensues. That freaks me out.
People get turned on and chaos ensues.
That's true. That seems to be a pretty good plot synopsis for life.
True
Not
story.
that kind of turn on. Oh no.
I'm really looking forward to see what the Reddit make out of this as well. Like, you got a good amount of information there. The guy gave you a few good hints about what was going on, at least on his end, but you did manage to save him, so... Looking forward to next
I
week.
want to know who gave him the bottle now.
That's the point. He would have got it from somewhere. Or maybe it was just in the cabinet and he just went for it.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be poisoned or something, even if it got, like, the people on the plane. I was assuming that it was poisoned. And in a way it was explosively poisoned. It's just different from a slow-acting toxin.
What we should have done is just like while the plane was plummeting to the ground, Jada could have gone like full hot sim and been like, okay, I'm just gonna find out who did this before we even crash, because techno braino.
True.
Check all the cameras, work it all out, and then by the time we hit the ground, it's like, okay, I know who did it. So if we survive this, we're good.
I thought it was just a shame that Shen didn't manage to, like, at least glide the plane in. I was kind of expecting that to be a thing.
He just kept rolling not so great.
If they would have been rolling better on like the land, if I could tell that the plane was going to land well, maybe I would take the time to do that. But I feel like if I took the time to do that, I would have probably died or something.
Yeah.
Something
At the
terrible.
time, I didn't even think of it.
I'm so glad that you didn't fail that judge intentions roll at the end there, Tag, when you were checking on the Met 2000 guys.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, I'll roll judge intentions. I was like, cool. You can see that they seem to be like Met 2000. You're like, oh, cool, they're friendly. Well, no, just roll the judge intentions. You said you were gonna do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at it, shoot some.
I mean,
fools.
ideally, levitation fixes all problems, though. Like, if they had shot at us, I'd just be like, I levitate him up and away from the gun turret. Oh, the other guy goes for it? I levitate him 2 at a -2. Oh, the third guy wants to go? I levitate him 2 at a -4. And now they're all hanging in the air, and then I drop them to their deaths. I'm like, yay, we have a boat with a gun on it now! Hooray! Level up! Da, 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 da,
Join
da,
in.
da, da, da.
We could have totally used the boat.
Sadly, effectively, a mercenary force that works as a private navy probably have some defenses.
No, Deadbolt, go sweep for tags. Use your tag eraser. It'll be fine. Nobody will ever know the difference. I'll trade Phantasm the whole boat so it's a different color, and it looks like Thomas the Tank Engine or something.
Yeah, well, I can also hack in too, and I can aid in that stuff, so. Well, at least the ship stuff and comms and whatnot.
I'm so glad, by the way, that
I'm
you
gonna
left
say,
the body
though-
for them to shoot as well, because that would have been awkward otherwise.
I'm gonna say though that really those mercenaries did just shoddy work. Like they come up to the crash, they're like, "Oh, there's one body. We'll shoot it a bit. Yeah, we're good. Let's go." It's like there were more than one person on the plane. You know, if they were professionals, they would have checked this stuff.
How long can they spend there
But
before someone else shows up and goes, "Wait, why are you shooting people?"
Also, they didn't see any of the parachutes.
Only one parachute fucking opened,
That's a good point.
and
Yeah,
you didn't even
that's
land
yours.
with
Yeah, we
it.
messed
You
it
got
up, didn't
levitated
we?
into the boat.
Yeah, I expected you guys to really kind of jump out sooner, and then they were sitting there down counting. I was like, well, shit, somebody's got to jump out. I jump.
I jumped
Everybody
first,
jump, let's
man.
go,
I was
let's
out
go.
of there.
The threshold was
I mean,
a little bit higher because of that, but everyone rolled 0 die, really, apart from Deadbolt. I was like, okay, fair enough.
What did we learn about taking skydiving skills?
I had to
This will
edge
be
that
the
to
one
get a
time you
1.
need them. Until the next time.
Mm-hmm.
Never want to go skydiving. I don't know. I'm one of those people who is like, why put myself in a situation where I could possibly die?
You do that with life,
By
though.
the way, Deadbolt's never getting on a plane again. He already didn't like flying as it was. He's like, I don't know what happens. These like something matrixy goes wrong and we all crash because the
I played a
engines turn
dwarf.
backwards.
In D&D, I played a dwarf who's like afraid of water, and so that was an interesting situation when I actually had to get on a boat at one point. It was horrible.
But yeah, that was an enjoyable episode. I'm looking forward to next week. I keep looking forward to the next episode because I want to like see you unroll more plot and figure it out and stuff. And it's Curse of the GM.
I know, I'm having too much fun. I really like this campaign, and I actually love the way that all of our characters kind of
You
can work
really
together.
do have like some really good synergy currently with the team. Like you are really competent in the actual like. It's weird. It's too competent.
Our last campaign, it's just we missed entire job roles. Whereas this time around, everybody was really careful to plan and be like, I want to do my job really well. Like, I learned last season that not having a mage that has, like, certain things is just really rough. Like, you need a mage that has certain spells. If you're going to fill in as a mage, you need to have those things. And because it helps. You know?
I've actually never played a campaign with a Decker or a mage. Or even... I don't think we had a Technomancer either, but we managed to do everything.
I mean, the idea is the GM should throw you missions that you can vaguely do. Like, you know, I threw a plane coming out of the air because I know that Tag could levitate. So if something goes wrong for someone, I know that one person's going to get levitated. Admittedly, I didn't think that nearly everyone would fail their skydiving check. But then again, if you fail all your skydiving checks after you failed to control the plane, and what else was it? There was something else as well. I was like, I guess someone deserves to hit the water.
Well, I did. You're welcome. I think what we did is our face basically had contacts, and so we actually had one point where our hacker contact died, and it was like 10 episodes in or 20 episodes in, and it was like horrible. We all were like, no.
Oh yeah, I do that. I kill people.
Yeah, it was, but it was like a contact we had had for a really long time, and he was like this super adorable nerdy dude. I was like, oh, but it's okay. Those are the moments where like even the viewers are like, no, the epic climaxes and whatnot.
Not all my contacts are really forgettable people.
So forgetful, I
There's
won't
no
even bother to kill
emotional
them.
connections.
I don't even remember you calling a contact yet.
Yeah, do you have a con? I haven't seen you.
Well, I have one, but he's sort of for very specific situations, and the other one, we sort of changed it midway through, and I still need to iron out exactly who he is.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, this has been an interesting after show. I'm looking forward to the next episode quite a lot. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you very much for Patreoning us. And yeah.
We miss you, Shen.
Bye, Shen.
He's been very quiet today.